Everybody, thanks so much for listening. If you're listening to us for the first time, please subscribe, share this video. If you're listening to us on the radio or another platform, podcast, please share this also. Tell your friends and your family. We have Mary Kent on from Johnston, Rhode Island. She does own all four paws dog and cat grooming. My family goes to you, Mary. They love what you do. And they said that you would be a good get. You have an amazing story to tell about. So I'm looking forward to this interview. And thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on with us today.
Yeah, of course.
That's all right. So Mary, let's get into this. Growing up, were you always an animal person or did this come down the road? How did all this happen?
No, so I grew up on a farm in Foster, which is a very rural town. I always had animals. I had horses. I've always been an animal lover. I started riding horses when I was like 2 years old, and that was always my love. I was always at the barn all the time. And that's actually definitely helped me a lot with dogs. I had a gift with horses because horses can feel your energy when they're on your back, when you're on their back. And it's the same thing. I learned it was the same thing with dogs. So I always did really well with like horses that were rescues or scared. I could ride horses other people couldn't. And because I was always very calm when I was on them, I was never nervous. Even if I had a horse that was trying to kill me, I was never nervous. And I realized, animals communicate with you through your energy. And it's the same way with dogs too. And that's why I picked up working with dogs really quickly. When I was 14, I had a horse on my own. My parents didn't help me at all. And I was job. So there's a grooming salon at the top of my road, and I would walk there every day all summer. And I'd sit and I'd watch her and watch her and watch her. And one day, the owner, her name was Jules, she said, "Do you want a job?" And I said, "Yes." So I worked every single day, and I learned how to bathe and dry dogs and all that. And that's actually what helped pay for my horse. So it gave me a really good work ethic because I had bills at 14, which most kids don't.
Right.
So that's when I started grooming.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you can go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to interrupt and apologize for interrupting you in mid-sentence, but just to go into this, so you did buy that horse with your own money at 14. I'm sure it was fairly expensive in general.
Actually, no, she got given to me because she was really difficult and she was going to end up going to auction. So the barn owner was like, "You want this horse?" And I was like, "Yep, I'll take her." And I was like, "Well, the horses are expensive to keep though." So that's why I started working at such a young age.
So going into this, and you went through a lot in that, so I'm going to try to hit on every point that you mentioned. So just going back to animals' energy, and I've heard that also before. We interviewed a woman, right outside Orlando that does therapy with horses with people that have mental health issues, and she stated the same thing as you did as far as the energy issue. My question is what, obviously a horse is a huge animal. Dogs are not as big. I mean, some dogs are pretty big. I'm sure you saw little tiny dogs to huge dogs, but they're still not as big as horses. And cats are, extremely small creatures. What is the difference as far as that energy aspect? I know you talked about the back. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. So, when I'm riding a horse that's really, really nervous and skittish and you're on their back, they can just, as long as you're touching the animal or even around them, they can feel you. On a horse's back that's super nervous, my thoughts have to be you can't just pretend to be calm. You can't say, "Okay, I gotta relax, because they can tell your thoughts. It's almost like meditation. Your thoughts need to be calm, your breathing needs to be calm, everything has to be slow. And then it essentially calms them down. And I learned that it's the same way with dogs. So I specialize in high anxiety, fear, aggressive dogs. I do dogs that groomers cannot do. I do dogs that would normally have to be put to sleep at the vet to get groomed. I do dogs that are vicious, and I'm able to groom them. And honestly, it's because of my energy. I have 14 groomers, and they all have watched me work with these and be able to calm them down. And that's really been like the basis of my salon. And that's what I built my reputation around, is creating an atmosphere that's calm and relaxing and stress-free. It takes a lot of skill. I mean, I've been grooming for 11 years. I'm going to be 25 in a couple of weeks. And ever since I started when I was 14, I never stopped. Um, so
So this is obviously a passion of yours. Would you want to extend this down the road and make, more than one, what, go ahead.
there's another big part of my life that is the reason why I do this is I'm a cancer survivor. When I was
Right.
16, I had ovarian cancer. And I almost died from it. And after I had to go through chemo and all of that, and after going through that, you have a much different outlook on life. So when I was 14, I started grooming. I never stopped all throughout high school. I went to college for business. I was actually a full-time paralegal. This is after
Oh, wow.
chemo and all of that. When I was recovering, I was a full-time paralegal and I was going to go to school for law. And I always groomed on the weekends. I always loved grooming. I never thought about it as a career because people don't really take that seriously. I can assure you it's definitely a very profitable career. So, I was going to college and I was working as a paralegal, and I just said, life is so short and I love what I do, but I can't.
Oh, we lost you, Mary.
My phone's ringing. Okay. I said, I can't see my.
That's all right. We can edit that part out, but go ahead. Go back into what you were speaking about.
Yep. Life is really short and I loved being a paralegal, but I couldn't see myself working at a desk in front of a computer working 9 to 5. I'm very artistic. I love animals. I love working with my hands. So I dropped everything to open up my dog grooming salon. And it definitely is, you have to sacrifice. This is why a lot of people have ideas. They want to build a business, but they don't want to be uncomfortable. I took my nice steady job and my steady pathway and stopped all of that. And I was broke. My salon needed so much renovations. It used to be a laundromat. It took 3 months of just renovations. I was only, I think I was like 19 or 20 when I started. I didn't take out any loans, nothing. I bartended every single night and then worked every single day and just put the money back into the business. I was eating like ramen noodles every night. I was dirt poor, but I did not care because I had perseverance and I had a passion and I said, I'm going to be successful. And I am. It's only been, almost 3 years. And I have 14 groomers. I have one of the biggest salons in the state, private salons, not Petco or PetSmart. I've won Best Grooming Salon for 2022 and for 2021. I've been, I've had articles written about me. I've been on, things like this. It's really, really amazing to see how far I've grown. And that's why, and that this is what I was meant to do. And I'm happy. I love what I do every single day. Everybody says, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that couldn't be more true for me. But, I try to inspire the younger generation. It's hard work. Things don't get handed to you. I worked 7 days a week for 2 years to get where I am today. I put so much into it, but that's why I have the reputation that I do.
So going back to the aggressive dog thing. So you have these dogs, they're aggressive, whatever, they could be all different dogs. I mean, I think of personally, and that a Rottweiler,
yeah, Rottweilers are definitely tough to groom.
I don't know how pit bulls are. I've met some pit bulls that
pit bulls are perfect.
I've met pit bulls that are really nice, and I haven't had a bad experience, but some people have. But go ahead.
Yeah, every breed is different. I've never had a bad pit ever. Actually, most of the aggressive dogs I do are small dogs. They're Shih Tzus or Havanese that just, have problems. I do all the dogs for Providence Animal Rescue League. So I do a lot of rescue dogs. And there's usually, a reason behind why they're aggressive. Most dogs are aggressive out of fear. It's fear aggression. So I remember Providence Animal Rescue League, they referred a client to me. The dog's name was Loki. It's a black Shih Tzu. And nobody could groom this dog. This dog has been to almost every groomer in the state. Nobody could do the dog. He had super high anxiety, super, super fear aggressive, couldn't touch him without biting. And I said, yeah, I can do him, no problem. And, I put him on my table and, he was freaking out. They always start like that, freaking out, biting, screaming, all of that. You can't, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like I meditate. I just put my hands on the dog and I just say, it's okay. You cannot get frustrated. And this is, I think, a skill that I have because I train a lot of my groomers and they've all tried. I tell them, like, you have to be calm. And they say, I am calm. I'm like, but you're not inside. Because it's stressful when a dog's trying to bite you and they're not staying still and you have to get all this stuff done. I just have a gift of patience with animals, not so much with people.
Is this something, and sorry to interrupt, Mary, but is this something like you feel like, do you do a lot of meditation? Have you always been this relaxed? Does it have something to do with, surviving the cancer? What do you feel like it is that makes you so calm and the animals really, enjoy having being groomed by you, I guess I should say?
Well, I mean, what happened was when I opened up my business and I was by myself and I had never really groomed on my own without, being another salon with somebody to help you if the dog's being difficult. And I was on my own. I was like, okay, there's nobody here to help me. I need to get this dog done. And if you get and I already knew that most dogs' aggression is out of fear. So if you get frustrated or you get upset or angry, you're going to get nowhere with that dog because the dog's going to feel that negative energy and then they're going to be 10 times worse. So I remember just being by myself and I said, I have to get this dog done. And I knew if I was going to get frustrated, it was going to go nowhere. I was going to get upset. The dog was going to get upset. So that was how I really trained myself on being relaxed and like truly being relaxed, like slowing down your heartbeat, slowing down your mind, which is what I used when I was on the back of a horse that was nervous. Because if you're nervous when you're on the back of a horse, they're going to take off or they're going to buck you off. So you don't really have a choice. And I realized and it took me a while to learn that it was the same thing with dogs. And if I could have my hand on this dog and I just could slow down my breathing, and I said, it's okay. You can watch them calm down and realize, okay, it's okay. And it's all about the energy. Honestly, it's easier said than done. I honestly have to say I've really mastered this. And that's why I can there's not a dog I can't groom. And that's actually helped my confidence a lot too, because people come from all over. I have a phenomenal reputation for being able to do these dogs and not only be able to groom them, to fix them. I've done this with so many dogs where in about 3 sessions, I can take a dog that nobody can groom, that is vicious, that bites, to being completely fine because they trust me and because they feel comfortable with me. Some owners, they bring their dogs in and the owners are all nervous and they're like, oh my God, she's going to bite you. She doesn't like this. And I'm like, your dog's feeling that dogs don't speak English. They don't know what you're saying. The dog is feeling your nervous energy. And now they think that there's something wrong. So if you bring your dog into the grooming salon, that's why I make owners leave. I'm like, don't make a big deal about leaving, just leave. Because if you bring your dog into the salon and you're nervous, that the dog is nervous, then the dog is feeling that nervous energy. And then they feel like that there's something wrong. And then you start off on the wrong foot. So I make everybody leave and I'm just one with the dog and then they can feel my relaxed energy and it helps calm them down. And that's how I can get all these dogs done.
Yeah. So let's move toward the cat issue. Now, cats are completely different. Every dog has a different personality, but a cat is totally different from a dog. How is that different?
A cat is completely different from a dog. You cannot tell a cat what to do. They will tell you. They have a mindset of their own. Honestly, we do a lot of cats too. The biggest thing with cats is not to piss them off. They have a very short threshold of patience for you. So the whole thing is you get them in. I have a separate cat room. Sometimes we use catnip to calm them down too. We have special pheromones for cats in our cat room that helps calm them down. That helps a lot too. The whole energy thing, dogs are much more in tune to your energy than cats are. So I think the energy thing helps a lot more with dogs than it does with cats. Cats do whatever they want. They don't care. But we get them in, we have a separate cat room so they don't see or hear any of the dogs. We have the pheromones, we have catnip, and we just get them done as quick as possible so they don't have a bad experience, so they don't get stressed out. Some groomers will keep the cats there for hours. That doesn't work. The goal is to get a cat done in an hour or less because after that, they start getting stressed. If you bring a cat in the salon, you have it sitting in the crate for an hour before you start it, you're not gonna be able to touch it. They're already stressed out. So it's just keeping their stress level to a minimum. Cats are a little bit different than dogs.
But are you doing more cats right now than dogs, or is it even?
We do a lot more cats than other grooming salons, mostly because of the reputation that I have. I I used to do all the cats. I have a cat groomer now. You have to be a cat person to do cats. If you do not like cats, they know. They do not like you back. So I have one of my cat groomers. She absolutely adores cats and they adore her back. So she does all of them because I'm too busy doing all the dogs.
I got to tell you this. I don't. So you're not a cat person then?
No, I am. I am a cat person. I just don't have time to do them. She does
Okay.
really, really well with our cats. And then because I have this reputation that I do, I am like slammed with, I have to say,
Dogs.
quote unquote, bad dogs or high anxiety dogs. So I'm stuck doing those all day. I actually finally had to make the decision to stop taking new clients because I have too many and I can't keep everybody in. And then I have 14 other groomers that do all of like our good dogs, our normal dogs.
Wow, that's incredible. And we're listening to Mary Kent's story. I mean, opening up a business at 20, and it's really incredible, your story. I think people need to listen to this and really hear more. This is not the end of the interview, but if you do want to find Mary Kent, if you're in Rhode Island or Massachusetts, as you said, Mary, people are coming from all over the area to see you with the dog issues as far as high anxiety or stressed out dogs, and also with cats. All four Paws. It's four, like the number four Paws, Paws. And then definitely check them out they're in Johnston. You can check that out. And we'll go through a little bit more about the website in just a second. But Mary, let's continue on and speaking about this. So I just want to go back. So defeating cancer, and I know you said that really changed your life. And a lot of people have throughout the past, 2 years have really faced maybe not cancer, but they faced all these issues with COVID. Now they have monkeypox. We are about to probably see an economic downturn. But with that said, are you worried about if there's really bad economic news
Yeah,
coming
honestly,
up?
if we're going through a recession, I'm not really worried about it. COVID did us as dog groomers a favor almost. I never had grooming salons in Rhode Island didn't have to close during COVID because it counts
Oh,
as a
good.
necessity. It is necessary for a lot of these long coated dogs to get groomed, like Shih Tzus, because if they don't, they get matted, especially with doodles. Everybody has doodles now. These dogs, if they don't get groomed, they get matted. It's painful. It's not good for their skin. It causes discomfort, all of that. So for certain breeds, it is a necessity. During COVID, everybody got dogs because they were all at home. So now that's why you're seeing all of the groomers booked out, all the vets booked out. The market has increased like 500% over the past year. It's absolutely insane. And I'm not really that worried about the recession because we have an extremely large amount of clients and we can afford to maybe downsize a little bit, but most of my clients are dogs that it's necessary for them to get groomed. So it's just something people are going to have to pay for. It's not like, when you go through a recession, you usually see luxury items like, buying jewelry. That's my other family business is we do wholesale jewelry. And that, the recession hits really hard if we go through another one because people don't buy jewelry when there's a recession or they don't buy, brand new cars or something like that. But a dog is your family member and, it's something that's part of their care, just like feeding them and bringing them to the vet. So I'm not really too worried about it affecting my business.
Let's just go into the last two questions. Just going back to your cancer. With that, can you talk about how, you found out about it? Just go through that story
Yeah.
and I know you just did a little bit earlier on, but a little bit more in depth about how you found out, what age, and then going into the treatment and how you kind of rose up and really have, done extremely well. For
Yeah.
a person that's 25, I mean, I don't know many people at 25 that have a thriving business such as you do. So kudos to
Honestly,
that.
everything happens for a reason, whether it's good or bad. And obviously going through cancer was bad, but I blame that for my success though, because I have a completely different outlook on life. And it's scary because it can happen. They don't really know that much about cancer. It can happen to anybody at any time, which is what's scary. So I was 16. I was a junior in high school and I was just bloated. Like it wasn't a big deal. It was nothing. And my stomach was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger out of the blue in like a matter of a week. So I was like, all right, let me just go to the doctor. And I had ovarian cancer, which they didn't find out till I had surgery. Ovarian cancer doesn't happen to girls that are 16 years old. It happens to women 50 and older. So that wasn't something that the doctors thought it was. They just thought I had, an ovarian cyst or, something like that. And they said, okay, it's pretty big. You need surgery. We'll schedule your surgery for 2 weeks out. I said, okay. I was really scared because I never had surgery before. That was a lot. And during that 2 weeks, my stomach was growing and growing and growing. And the doctor said, don't do any research online, which of course I did anyways. And doing all this research, and I was like, what the doctors think I have doesn't match my symptoms. And I found something called a dysgerminomia, which is a germ cell tumor it's very rare. It happens to like 1 in a million people. And it happens in young girls, and it causes this fluid to build up really, really rapidly. And that fluid is full of cancer. So I was already convinced that this is what I had. And I tried telling my parents, I was like, hey, Mom, I think I have cancer. And she was like, don't say that, freaking out about it. I was like, okay, well, I had already accepted that and was kind of prepared. So I ended up going in for emergency surgery because my stomach got so big, the tumor was actually producing this fluid so rapidly, that it was pushing in my lungs and I couldn't breathe. So I went in for emergency surgery at 1:00 in the morning. I was actually an hour away from dying. It was an hour away from dying. They said it would have killed me. So, everything happens for a reason. I was not meant to die. So I went in for surgery, which was absolutely awful. When I woke up, I couldn't move for like weeks. They had to like pull it out of my stomach. It was the size of a softball, disgusting. And the doctors, when I was awake and all that, they said, all right, so we biopsied your tumor. It's not what we thought it was. And I said, let me guess, is it a dysgerminomia? And they said, yeah, how did you know that? I said, well, I did my research. So I was like, yes, I was right. What they didn't prepare me for was how difficult chemo was going to be, because I didn't know anything about chemo. I thought I was going to feel sick for a few days and then I could just go back to school. It was not like that at all. Because they don't know that much about dysgerminomias, they put me through the harshest chemo regimen that they had. It was absolutely awful. I went through that for, I think, 8 months.
Wow.
Towards the end, I had to stay inpatient because I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I couldn't keep anything down. I lost like 50 pounds. I weighed, I think, 70 pounds. I was complete skin and bones. I had beautiful hair. My hair was like down to here before I lost it. I'm still growing it back. I lost all of my hair. I felt like I was dying. It was absolutely horrible. I literally felt like I was dying, and I had to go in for another round. So I go in for a round of chemo. I would feel really, really sick, stay in the hospital for a week, could not eat, could not drink. I had, IV fluids. I couldn't keep anything down. They had me on all these medications, which to help with the symptoms, but some of them made me depressed and some of them made me hallucinate. And they gave me another one where I couldn't feel my legs. I would not wish it upon anybody what I went through. Everybody that goes through chemo has a different experience, and there's different types of chemo drugs, but what I went through was really awful. So I would be sick for a week in the hospital, then I would go home, and one of my chemo drugs called cisplatin would hit me, and then I would be sick all over again for another week, and then I would stay another week at home, and then I would have to go in, and I would start to feel a little bit better towards the 3rd week, and then I would have to go in and get it done all over again. And towards the end, my white blood cell count was so low, they couldn't give it to me. I had like no immune system, so I had to wait an extra week, which prolonged everything. Towards the end, I was so weak I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. I literally felt like I was dying. And just to know that I had to go in for another round and feel even worse. But I was 16. I was at Hasbro. Yeah. And it was awful. Every time I had to go in for another round, I would cry and cry and cry. And I understand why people say you're a cancer survivor, because it takes so much mental capacity to know that you're going to suffer all over again and just have to suck it up and deal with it. But when I was at Hasbro, I was at the Tomorrow Fund. Those are where all the cancer patients are. And I saw all these little 10, 12, 13, and even toddlers going through the same thing I was going through. And that's what made me a lot tougher. I was like, if these poor children are going through the same thing I can go through, like I can be tough. And I was. And that has changed going through something like that has changed my mindset so much. Like nothing can compare to going through chemo and surviving all of that. And it wasn't even just chemo. It took me over a year to get better, to get my immune system back, to get my strength back, to get my, oh my God, I'm losing you again, to get my weight back. It was really, really tough. I remember after recovering and I felt better and I wanted to go back to work. I wanted to groom dogs again. And mentally I felt good and like my stomach didn't hurt, but I remember just being so exhausted. Like I would groom one dog and my body was so weak and I would just get so frustrated because I wanted to work so bad. It taught me a lot about, you know, people and who are really there for you. You know, I was only a junior in high school and all my friends that I thought were my friends were not there for me during all of that. It was like only a couple of like my true friends. And those are the girls that are still my best friends now. So it really teaches you, you know, the people that actually care about you. My family definitely was a big supporter too. So I think I had to grow up a lot faster too, going through that. I came back to school my senior year and I had a completely different outlook on life and on people and all of that. And it makes you realize, you know, you can get cancer and die tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I've traveled all over the world. I've been to Italy, I've been to Ireland, I've been to Greece, I've gone all over the US. I still take a lot of time to travel. I don't waste any second of my life doing something I don't want to do. I hate when I see people that are unhappy with their job or they're unhappy with their life. Nobody is going to make a change for you. You need to do it for yourself. And life is way too short to spend any time of it being miserable. So that's been my whole mindset. And I think that's why, you know, opening my business, I took a risk. I quit my nice job and I quit college, which everybody was like, why are you doing that? And I love what I do every single day and I'm successful and we're working on, you know, I have a phenomenal reputation and I know that this is what I was meant to do. And I have this gift too. So, you know, I am religious and God shows you a pathway. And I think he's really shown me that this is my pathway. And I'm working on expanding and doing daycare and training. My end goal is to do retail grooming daycare training. I have the building for it. We're starting renovations next month for the daycare and training. So I'm really, really excited to do that. And I'm just like, you know, I'm really happy with my life. And it's hard to find a lot of people that say that. I know all of my friends, they have these big dreams and ambitions, but they don't want to make the sacrifice or, you know, put their foot forward to do it. So I try to motivate people all the time. You know, you have to make a sacrifice. It's not easy. Things don't get handed to you, which is what's tough with the younger generation too. You know, I have a younger brother and everybody expects everything handed to them. And like, it doesn't really work that way. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to learn to be uncomfortable.
I think we should end the interview there. I mean, you inspired me just by listening. I think a lot of the stuff you said, I agree with, especially about your friends when you're down, when you're out, friends, family, whoever it may be. You know, the people that are there when you're in those struggles are the people you can depend on. And like you said, there's a lot of those people, whether it's high school, college, whether it's just being friends with them outside that say, oh yeah, you're my friend and stuff. But when you need them, when you're suffering, their life is going great and they just don't give a damn. They're not there. And it's 100% true. I actually said that to somebody else literally the other day. So when you were saying all these things, I was like, amen, you're telling the truth 100%. So let's just end with that. I do want to go toward, and you just give another shout out again, all four paws, dog and cat grooming. Definitely check it out. Can you give the website, the social media, everything in the kitchen sink so people can find more about you, Mary?
Yeah. So we don't have a website. We just have Facebook. So our Facebook and Instagram is all the number 4 Paws RI. So like Forward Island. So that's what it is on Instagram. That's what it is on Facebook. You can just Google all 4 Paws Johnson on Google. You'll see all my 100 5-star reviews. I do not have a single bad review, which I take a lot of pride in. And you can get all the information there. Unfortunately, we're kind of limited on how many new clients we can take. We can take some small dogs and stuff, but no more big dogs, no more doodles. I'm maxed out with all of my high anxiety and my special case dogs for now. I think For our summer hours are a little bit shorter, so all my groomers can take time to enjoy themselves, go to the beach, all of that. Come fall, when it gets a lot busier, we will probably be open 7 days a week again, and that's when I'll be able to take on more clients.
Well, I hope you take more time off for yourself. I know you're busier than a beaver and you're always running around. So, first of all, I appreciate you taking time to do this interview. And I hope for people that are in the area, whether they can get in or not with you, do search out All Four Paws. Again, it's the number 4, not FOR. So definitely check it out. Mary, you're inspirational. I'm so happy we did this. And I hope that you keep doing what you're doing. And I think personally, and this is just me saying this, you should go into coaching also, because your story is very inspirational and you can help a lot of young women and even young men by telling them your story and just how you really at 25 have started a company that ranges all over Rhode Island and even people in Massachusetts. So keep up the amazing work. You're doing great.
Thank you.